All right. Hello, everyone.
Sora and Smash, let's go! I'm sorry. I just had to. I had to get it out of my system.
Yep. Our boy is in Smash.
Ah! Okay, I've been screaming all. Fine. I literally said it at the end of my work shift and I didn't care, so.
I got really excited going, wow, this is the first game we've played that, you know, like I've had a character that got into Smash, and then I remembered we played Final Fantasy VII Remake as well. And
Yeah,
Cloud's been in there for a while, and so has Sephiroth, so... Details!
So, yeah, it's okay. I mean, Sora's just like... I mean, he's good, but like, I can understand why we would forget about that. Just because it's like, I think it threw everyone off. Because they thought it would never happen, because Walt Disney is holding Sora by the throat. So.
Yeah, you noticed that Donald and Goofy are no longer there.
Yeah, there was this thing on Twitter. It's like, hey, did y'all notice that Donald and Goofy are not in that window-looking thingy?
Yeah,
the mosaic thing. Whatever that's called, stained glass window. I don't know.
Yeah, the dive to the heart stages. Yeah, like all references to them have pretty much been eliminated, and the only thing I could see from Disney was the Mickey head on the end of the Keyblade.
I bet they paid a lot of money for that. Like, a lot.
Yeah.
Just 1 second of Mickey's face anywhere, it's gonna cost you an arm and a leg.
Exactly. So. But, Sora and Smash, I always said that Sora would only get in Smash if Nomura was allowed to make it canon and plot relevant to Kingdom Hearts. He still has time, don't say that.
Mm-hmm. Wait, who's Nomura?
So, Tetsuya Nomura is the executive director of the Kingdom Hearts series. And so, he's been sort of credited with the fact that if you try to figure out what Kingdom Hearts lore is, no one has a goddamn idea what it is. It has become so giant and convoluted at this point that no one can figure it out. But we're all still along for the ride because it's entertaining.
We just want to see the Sora talk to the Disney character.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they care about. What's the plot? Well, there is no plot. It's just like the plot of Cats, non-existent.
Pretty much. Like, if you sit down and think about it, you're like, okay, this makes sense, this makes sense, this makes sense. And then if you think about it for more than like 10 seconds, you start going, oh no, this doesn't make sense. Oh no, like, my brain hurts. Oh no, everything is falling apart.
Yeah. I mean, what? I mean, was it because it was hard to try to justify all the characters being there at once and everything making sense, or like...
So, I think what happened was that Kingdom Hearts 1 happened, and it was fairly self-contained, you know, most of it made sense on its own, and then they've had so many games and everything has been sort of so built up that no one is entirely sure what is what anymore. It really is Nomura's Galaxy Brain self-insert Disney fanfic. And you know what? We are all paying extra money for it. So,
listen, like, I never got to play Kingdom Hearts because I didn't have the consoles growing up. In fact, I had no consoles growing up. But, I watched other people play it when I grew up. Like, my friends had it, and whenever I would go to their house, they would be playing it. I'm like, oh, that's neat! So the only thing I know about Kingdom Hearts, really, is the sea salt ice cream that I want to eat. That's what I know.
One of these days we should make it. I have a recipe for it.
Oh, for real?
I do.
My God,
so one of these days we should make it. We live in Florida. It's almost like ice cream is a thing all year round here. Ice cream is a thing all year round everywhere, but
yeah. Oh my God, I can't wait. Please, let's do that.
Yeah.
I heard it tastes like caramel.
Well,
or
we'll
something.
Find out.
Because everyone's like, doesn't it taste like salt? I'm like, I don't think so.
I mean, if you think about it, caramel is salty. You know, they have sea salt caramel, so...
Right, that's what I thought.
Like, caramel on its own is like salty and sweet. It's the reason why caramel's so good. Anyways, yeah, we are super excited about Sora and Smash. And let's get into 428 Shibuya Scramble. Everything is... So, gonna preface this with the fact that, if you remember correctly, I had never played up to this point. Like, the bonuses were still something new to me. I found out, as I was playing around on my own account, that you have to do all the bad ends in order to get the mean clean ending as well. We are not going to do all of the bad ends because we still have like 55 to 60 bad ends to go. So we're just going to do these bonuses and call it good on 428. And someday in the future, if we decide that, you know what, this is going to be super interesting, we may come back to it to get that final ending. But now I understand why they have all those walkthroughs about how do you get all of the bad ends while as you're playing through it.
Because it's like, guys, there's literally 75 bad endings. 75!
There's a lot. And yeah, we were joking at the fact of how many bad ends we got, you know, in the final time block, so...
Yeah, I mean, like, we got a fair few, but I don't think we got anywhere close to 75.
We did not get anywhere close to 75, so...
In fact, if I knew that we were supposed to be getting bad ends, I would have been holding a counter of some sort.
Yeah, let me just say, like, most of the time I'm pretty... One of the reasons why I do play through our stuff early is so that, number one, you guys don't have to watch me look like an idiot while I'm trying to figure out how to play it and talk at the same time, because apparently multitasking is very hard for me sometimes, but also for stuff like this so that I make sure, okay, I know what we're doing, and because I did not expect to do all of the bonuses, I didn't look into that first. So, whoops!
Also, one last side note, because I just read this. Apparently, Sakurai did work on Kingdom Hearts at one point, like as a co-writer or something, for like 3 or something. So I guess it was inevitable.
To be fair, like if you look at some of the staff that has worked on Kingdom Hearts and the staff that has worked on Super Smash Brothers, apparently there's a lot of overlap, just because Square Enix and Nintendo like to trade talent quite a bit.
Well, I mean, it's not that surprising, right?
No. Well, okay, so the big reason why it is surprising is not because it's Square Enix, it's the fact that we never thought that Disney would give the okay for it, and so it sounds like they've cut out as much Disney as possible and said, you know what, that little keychain at the end of Sora's thing is going to be so small no one's going to ever see it.
It's true, I mean, you're swinging it around anyway, like, yeah.
And let me just say, like, the most exciting part of all of this is just finding out what Kirby looks like.
That's literally all I care about anytime there's a new Smash character. It's like, oh my god, what's the Kirby gonna look like? Because I love Kirby.
Anyways, so, recap of what happened last time. Inspector Kajiwara has bottomless pockets. The man is Mary Poppins on crack. Kuze's got his whole voice thing that everyone knew about but him. Hana is a hide-and-seek prodigy. And Okoshi Pharmaceutical is feeding Chiri for a decade to farm hypersuccinant Chiriase. Or Chiriase, yeah. I think we were saying it wrong, but you know what? We're not doctors, so...
In fact, I think they just called it Chiriase or Chiri... I don't know which one is the other pronunciation, but I think they just made it up, you know what I mean?
So like, I know that, like, lipase and stuff like that exists, so I'm assuming it's sort of a play on that, but...
Oh, that's probably it. They like puns here, so...
I mean, like, it seems logical, I guess. Shall we get started on our final bonuses then? And our final 428 Shibuya stream. I am not playing this game another time.
10 out of 10, oh yeah. I mean, it was a fun game.
It was.
After that 4-hour stream, I was like, wait.
Yeah, that... I think it would be better if I haven't been sitting here the last, like, 5 streams going, we're almost done. We're almost at the end. This is almost the last stream, and it's been almost for almost a month now. Okay. 1400, getting rid of the suit.
Did that.
Input, and we're looking at, but as I walk along, I start regretting my decision. I miss you, Maria.
Girl. Look at that man. Clancy.
This is the man that picks up trash off the side of the road, my dude.
I hope he doesn't smell like trash. That would suck. Honestly, props to all the actors, because, like, they went all out.
They really did.
And since they, like, I don't know if they knew that it was gonna be mostly still images or not. But, like, props to whoever did the cinematography and the photography for this one, because, like, you had to get the perfect still shot while the actors are moving, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot to ask for. Ever try to take a picture of something moving? It's hell. It's literal hell.
Alright.
Sometimes it makes me wonder the behind the scenes for this one, because it's like, did they make them pose? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I will say this is one of the best. I've seen a couple of visual novels like this that have like real actors interposed in, but this is possibly one of the best ones that I've seen where it actually works. Like, if you've ever played Root Letter, for those of you on the stream, I don't really like how Root Letter did their actors, so. Da-da-da-da! Alright, Masamichi Fukuma. This is the dude that was the suit technician. Remember?
Oh yeah, I think so. He's in charge of the suit and he got angry that we took it.
Yeah, because remember, his boss is like obsessed with these suits, and so he got irritated because he had to come try to help us out, and the zipper was broken.
Oh yeah, we can't break it or else we're gonna have a lot of money.
Exactly. So I think that's you, since I was Maria at the time.
I think so. Crunch, crunch. Crunch, crunch, crunch. Crunch, crunch. Masamichi sits on a cardboard box, nibbling away at some rice crackers. Okay, that's what it was. Okay. Crunch times a billion. Crunchity crunch, crunch, crunch. Fukuma is in charge of making deliveries for a costume rental company. Living the life. Once he gets an ordered item to his destination, his job is pretty much done. Today his mouth is on autopilot as he stares at the big screen TV in the office. The afternoon variety show is doing a feature on the big revival concert for legendary hard rock band Z Japonica. Ha ha! Oh, that was a yawn. Shit. A Pokemon lets out a big yawn. There's nothing interesting in that. Well, that was a weird noise in the way of news either. He considers pretending that he has another delivery and taking the company vehicle over to by Aoyama Cemetery, where he can sneak a quick nap. Who does that?
Sir, I hope you stay in your car when you take that nap.
Yeah, what the fuck? I hope you're not sleeping on the dead. That's weird. Suddenly the door to the room swings open. Bound through it comes a pink rabbit. Ooh, pink rabbit. Hello. Fukuma quickly stands at attention. He does his because he's afraid that the rabbit is his father.
Oh, I get it.
Okay, his father owns the rental company and has recently grown so fond of mascot costumes that he's rarely seen outside of his rabbit suit, so he's a furry. Most of his employees don't even know what he actually looks like. That's scary. Whew, sorry I'm late! A woman's voice emerges from the rabbit's mouth, panting raspily. Thank God I did a high-pitched voice. Now that Fukuma has calmed down enough to process things, he recalls that his father's costume is brown. It's a wild rabbit. Okay. The pink bunny costume is the one the company has on hand for rental. Fukuma lets out a sigh of relief. I'm here to return this! I don't know what voice that is. The rabbit squirms in an attempt to remove her head, but she can't quite reach the fasteners. Here, let me help you with that. Fukuma gives her a hand and tucks the head off by the ears. Poor ears. Head pops off, revealing the attractive, slightly ruddy face of a young woman. I don't know why, but when I heard the ears were like being tugged, all I thought about was that one Uda pre-quiz. The funny look, and he looked like a badger now.
Yeah.
That was great. Her hair is done up. Beads of sweat run down her neck. Thank you so much. That's a huge help. The pink rabbit with the girl's face smiles. Fukuma swallows. His heart skips
Oh
a
my
beat.
god.
She's perfect.
This man.
No, I'm supposed to have this back by 5 p.m. Is that still okay? Fukuma checks the clock on the wall. It's coming up 5 o'clock exactly. Yes, that's quite all right if you can just take the costume off now. Oh god. Relief shows on the woman's face, then just as quickly vanishes. Oh, she says in dismay. Wait, no. What's the matter? The woman looks away. The suit's really hot. So, I'm not wearing a whole lot underneath.
Ma'am,
I'm
what
wearing a
was
lot.
what was your plan here?
Excuse you. A flurry of appealing images rushed through Fukuma's head. No! Get your head out of the gutter, bitch. I'm sorry to ask, but is there a room someplace I could use to get changed? Of course. Yes, a room. I can show you to a room. Wow. Shelly Fukuma leads the young woman to a spare room very casually. Once you're done changing, just let me know. Gently shuts the door and then starts to head off. A grown-up discomfort stops Fukuma in his tracks. Right now, the only ones in the office, wow, did I say that coughing, are him and this young woman. Presses his ear to the door and hears the sound of a
Oh my
zipper
god,
being pulled
sir.
out. God damn it!
Sir, please.
Oh, my arms! You can hear her squirming her way free of the body piece. The arms are always the toughest part when you're new to the things. You imagine her twisting her body this way and that. She strains against the costume. Fukuma's breath quickens.
Oh my
Oh
god.
no. I'm scared. Okay, let's just. Whoa! The sound of a piece of furniture being knocked over comes through the door. Are you alright, miss? Fukuma calls out hurriedly. Sorry, I just tripped. Are you hurt? I'm okay. This thing's just really hard to get off. My sweat has the fabric all stuck to my skin.
Oh my god.
Stuck to her skin with sweat. Such simple words to fiercely entice a man's fantasies. Why is the question though? So, what should I do? She asked meekly. What should I do? What does come next?
Oh no.
Fukuma's fantasies run off the bar wild. What's happening? I'm sorry, it's really awkward to have to ask this, but would you mind coming in here? There it is.
I just.
Her idea, not mine. Yes, 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 yes. Yes, of course he'll head on in. Because why wouldn't he? Carefully, Fukuma opens the door. The woman stands there, the rabbit suit halfway off. Her slender shoulders are exposed beneath her frowning face. He also notices that she is rather well endowed, given her slender frame. I'm sorry, I think the zipper along the back is snagged on the fabric. It won't come down. The woman turns to show her back. Her smooth, pale skin glows. Her sweat glistens in the light. Would you mind giving me a hand with this?
Oh god.
Uh-huh. Fukuma's voice spikes unintentionally. Oh, I'm sorry. Uh-huh! Okay. The woman quickly whirls around. She draws her hands up to her chest. He can't take his eyes off her cleavage, of course. Hey now, you're a raw star. Okay, just here. Are you looking? No, I'm not. I'm not looking at anything. Except the zipper, maybe. Fukuma forces himself to cover his eyes with his hand. Peeking between his fingers, he gets a glimpse of her face, red with anger. Yeah, you're gonna die after this. It's okay. He reassures her. I know where everything is, even with my eyes closed. Alright, if you'd be so kind then. At last she seems relieved. She turns her face to the window, again presenting her back. Now's my chance. Fukuma's eyes snap back open and he drinks in the sight of the young woman's back.
Oh my god.
Why are you saying it like that though? You're not looking, are you? No, of course not. I can see your eyes are open in the reflection on the window. Sorry!
Whoops. Sorry, I didn't realize I could see.
Right, I have eyes apparently. This time Fukuma really does close his eyes and begins groping forward in search of the zipper. Hey, watch your hands! Sorry, just trying to feel my way around. My back is just really sensitive. Man is a troubled animal. Ain't that the truth? Simply hearing that her back is sensitive has his blood pressure spiking through the roof again. His hands shake with excitement, and somehow his arm gets lodged inside the suit.
Oh no.
Ah! Sorry. Her bare skin is slick with sweat and wonderfully smooth. What? It's been many years now since Fukuma last had a girlfriend. And it's not gonna happen anytime soon.
Yeah, like, I wonder why.
He feels like his mind might short-circuit out of joy and excitement. He shouldn't do this. He has to calm down. This is work. He needs to be a professional.
Yeah, I think we're past that.
Yeah, this time for sure. Fukuma bows to himself. Eep! The woman drops down as if weak in the knees. She then proceeds to shuffle away from Fukuma. Oh, this is bad. This is real bad. Her posture has made the curves of her backside visible. She crawls on all fours towards the wall in an attempt to get away. That wasn't on purpose, Fukuma pleads. Seeing that she isn't listening, he steps in front of her, spreading his arms wide to bar her way. The first time my hand slipped because of the sweat, and I made sure to try to be more careful next time, and look, it's the zipper's fault. Abruptly, the door swings open, saying there is a wild rabbit. Dad? To Fukuma, the rabbit's long ears look like the devil's horns. Creature marches slowly into the office. It's just a costume, but somehow its fur appears to stand angrily on end. Fukuma needs an excuse. He needs an excuse fast. It's not what it looks like. I was just trying to help her get it off, and he doesn't get a chance to finish the sentence. The rabbit swings his fist with all his might of the King of Peace.
Thank you. Thank you, Dad.
Somebody had to.
You might be a furry, but, you know, like...
You're a furry who protects women and drinks and respects women juice every day.
You did great, sir.
Thank you.
Alright. On to 1420 Kano. Okay.
It's the boy.
Kano. It's 1415.
Wow, that was an awkward one.
That was so bad. I hated that. Okay.
I really hated that too. I'm like, what is this? I don't think this one was quite necessary.
It was not necessary whatsoever. I did not like it.
Why is it in this game? Anyway.
Okay, so we are going to go up to A instead and say that... so we're on the phone with Osawa, and originally we said something else.
We said whatever C was.
Yeah.
Yay!
Oh, we were talking about what the what they were actually after. And so I'm pretty sure we said he told me it's blood. This time we're gonna say it's the virus. So let me see what we're looking for.
What are we looking for?
Okay, so we just gotta get to the save.
Okay, so let's speed run.
Did everything
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Osawa's still gonna hang up. Stanley says it's incorrect.
That's what you
then
always
corrects
say,
us.
Stanley. God. No.
Alright.
We love you, Stanley. You're the only foreigner in this game that apparently we trust.
It
Apparently the other foreigners are all cray-cray in this game.
1420, detective.
Except for Stanley's brother. He was a good bean, but he was off screen the whole time.
He was. Alright. And we're looking for Osawa imagined bodies dropping right and left.
Let the bodies hit the floor! Okay, no.
Yeah, we must have answered this before.
I feel like that too.
Because this is when he has his breakdown.
Yeah, wasn't it a bad ending? And he was like, definitely like he went cray cray.
One of like 800 of his breakdowns, but
he has a lot of those. I will say, I was genuinely sad when he died. Because I was like, man, you just redeemed yourself. And now you're here.
I know.
Dying. That sucks.
Is he alright? No.
No, he ain't. He's never okay. Let's be honest. He's just having a very bad day. The man needs, like...
Oh yeah, because this is the one where we ask them to arrest us. Here we go. Bodies dropping left and right. Yep, there we go. Okay, who this time? Masai Take. This would have been... I'll take this one. I have no idea. Because this is the Chinese restaurant inside of the Gaigo, Shibuya Gaigo. Ni hao. Welcome to Imabiki Chinese Restaurant. I'm Masai Take. I work here. Oh, what's that? You think that's a strange name? Yeah, I guess you're right. It is a weird name. Imabiki Chinese Restaurant. So, it's kind of a long story, but there was this video game called Imabiki-so. It involves a mysterious drug called Vision that causes you to be cursed by a woman in black when you take it. And, okay, yeah, it's a long story. I'll quit while I'm ahead. Anyway, the point is that there was this game called Imabiki-so, and this restaurant opened to commemorate its release. A lot of the menu items tie in with the game. So, let me introduce you to the mysterious charms of Imabiki Chinese Restaurant. Here, have a cup of oolong tea. You can sip on that while you listen. The food here is cooked using a closely guarded 4,000-year-old Chinese technique known as huojiao charring method. I have no idea whether I'm saying any of these Chinese words right, by the way.
Honestly, though, you would probably do a 10-time better job than I would.
I don't know that I am, but China is said to be home to 8 great regional cuisines, and so the menu is divided into 8 broad sections, but each of these is cooked using the huojiao method to bring out unique and striking tastes. You want to know more about the huojiao method? Why do we keep saying that?
Yeah, do you want us to suffer?
Okay, I shall tell you a part of the ancient secret. So you know how if you burn something just right, you get this nice tasty crunch? But if you burn it even a tiny bit too much, it becomes a nasty, inedible mess. And so then you've screwed up, and sadly you just have to toss the food away. The huojiao method isn't like that. It involves charring the ingredients through until they're pitch black. Huh? Why are you giving me that look? You don't think food like that could possibly be edible? Well, just hear me out until the end, all right? The offerings on our menu are things most everyone should be familiar with. Sweet and sour pork, pot stickers, sumai, greens pepper steak, stir-fried shrimp and chili sauce, Peking duck. All pretty typical examples of Chinese food, right? But here at Imabiki Chinese Restaurant, we char all of these dishes until they're truly full of flavor. You can even choose whether you want your charring done rare, medium, or well done. Well done makes the food look like a burnt lump of charcoal, but provides an exceptional taste and aroma. Try it once and you'll be hooked. I bet you'll want to swing by our restaurant every day. The secret to making everything so delicious are the herbs we use, which are an essential part of the huojiao method. These herbs are extremely rare. People who taste them say it's like they've been transported to another world. What herbs are these, you ask? That's a trade secret, I'm afraid. Oh, I can't wait for you to try some. Once you've had them, I'm sure you'll never forget. We have a lot of regular customers, and a lot of students from nearby universities come here as well. Oh, and what perfect timing! Here's one of our regulars now, Hiroki Makimura. Aw, don't be like that, Hiroki. Say something. Ever since eating here, everything I eat or drink has this bitter taste. See? What did I tell you? Eating here gets you hooked. And it isn't just bitter flavors. Lately, I can see everything.
What? Is it drugs?
Huh? What was that? The woman in black. I can see her. Well, let's just let him finish mumbling as he finds his way to his seat. Hiroki's looking a bit unwell today. Look, here's another of our regulars now. This is Masato Watanabe. Mind sharing a word or two with us, Masato? Rather than obtain sublime pleasure, the woman in black will burn you to your very bones.
Weird.
Well, I'm not sure what all that means. We're going to die, you, me, charred, twisted bodies. Never mind these, eccentricities. Since the food here is themed around a horror game, the customers tend to get in the spirit of things, is all. Anyway, don't look so nervous. Let me show you to your seat. What? You look like you have something you want to say.
Everything sus.
You think I'm hiding something? Well, I'm surprised. I didn't think you'd notice. That's all right, though. I'll tell you everything I've been keeping from you. Like I said, make sure to hear me out until the very end. And then you will be cursed.
No.
Cursed just like Hiroki and Masato. I'm just messing with you. Did I spook you? There's no need to
Yes.
worry. Of course you're not going to get cursed. Because, you see, you already are. Don't you remember? That oolong tea you drank. It was steeped with those special herbs I mentioned. I suppose now I can tell you what it's called. What you drank is tea of imabikiso, the searing herbs of hatred. You can hear a voice, can't you? A woman's voice, dry and raspy. Go on, sit down. Here's your seat. You're never going to escape, so you may as well accept it now. Now then, let's start over. Welcome to Imabiki Chinese Restaurant. Ta-da!
That's terrifying.
That was so much fun to do. I'm so glad I took that one. Sorry.
I'm scared.
All right, let's go ahead and fix history again. That was so much fun. I love
like
doing the
crazy.
weird shit.
I like doing the crazy.
I do. It's a lot of fun. Oops. All right.
Yeah, I was like, I thought it was going one way, and then I was like, nope, we're doing a turn. We're doing a hard right, a hard left. I don't know what we're doing, but like, damn, doing it.
All right. 1430, Maria. 1430, Maria. Some new pickup trick. Ah, yes, Shibuya Gaigo. This is when Achi tries to pick her up. Okay. Select answer B. Alright, let's hide someplace where there are fewer people. I scurried to one of the far corners of the floor. Compared to the area around the stairs, the rest of the area is dead. We're going up to the 4th floor. When I get to the top of the stairs, I see a man talking on his phone. He looks a little furtive, like he's trying to avoid the public eye. We know that's Tanaka now. We're gonna leave. Alright, now go to 1435 Achi. Well, we're going to 1430 first. Because apparently we've never done this. Okay.
Whoosh.
And we're looking for 2 guys bullying some frail old man. Okay, so we're searching for Hitomi. It's technically not Hitomi. So she's like, what the fuck are you doing, my dude? This was the Parent Trap chapter.
Yeah, we were mixing up the twinsies.
Alright.
Good times though.
Yeah, lots of good times. We got go to the stairwell. Stop right there. Alright, who's coming up the stairs? Someone chasing Hitomi? Well, we're gonna go down to meet them. Oh,
Who
look
is
at
the dog?
Toyama!
Oh my god.
Hmm.
It's usually him.
Yeah, pretty
Let's be
much.
honest.
And unsurprisingly, it's his debt collectors. Alright, and it's this
Yep.
one. Alright, who we got this time? Toyama! I think I usually played Toyama because you were Minorikawa.
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, Teruo Toyama. A man who survives on the battlefield that is journalism. This story takes place right after the founding of Heaven Publishing. In a certain high-class residential neighborhood in Tokyo, Toyama hid in the shadow of a telephone pole, an infrared camera in his hand. He eyed the entrance of the upscale Japanese restaurant across the street through the viewfinder. I'm so sleepy. How many days had it been now? How much time and money had he spent in getting this far? And how little did he have to show for it? He felt a pit of emptiness and despondency open up inside him. But he couldn't give up now. This was the one good lead he had to go on. Toyama had been closing in on a big scoop. There were persistent rumors about a member of the reigning political party involved somehow with the head of Shiramine Gumi Yakuza Syndicate. If the stories turned out to be true, it could lead to a major upheaval in the government. A party that had held power for quite some time would probably fall from grace in dramatic fashion. The public wouldn't stand idly by. If it became well known that the people in government were in bed with the Yakuza, there would be a national uproar with international repercussions. Japan's reputation on the world stage might well become mud overnight. A scandal like that probably wasn't in the country's best interest. But the alternative was surely worse. The infection needed to be located quickly and then excised. And the only one who can expose that infection is me. Toyama's smoldering sense of purpose blazed up once again. But his target was doing a good job of not giving himself away. Toyama was certain that the Diet member and a high ranked Yakuza used this restaurant for their meetings, but neither had shown himself since he started his stakeout. Had word of his activities been leaked? Nah, that can't be. He'll definitely come back here. Toyama was sure of it. But despite all his waiting, he hadn't had the slightest cause to click the shutter on his camera. What are you doing? A voice asked suddenly from behind him. Toyama whirled around to see a familiar face. It was a reporter who had written for the rival paper back when Toyama worked for the Central Times. Are you on a stakeout? Sweat beaded along Toyama's back. The newcomer glanced cautiously to either side before leaning in to whisper into Toyama's ear. You waiting on the Yakuza boss and the Diet man?
The diet man.
Toyama's eyes went wide. How do you know about that? This was supposed to be an exclusive scoop that nobody else had caught wind of. My colleagues and I know all about it. It's too big a lead not to have heard of, but the top brass has forbidden anyone from looking into it. Toyama's heart sank. He'd worked so hard, come so far, all to get his hands on some info that everyone else in the business already had. And not only did they have it, they'd already decided not to publish it because of the risks involved. I'm telling you this for your own good, Toyama. You need to drop this one. You must be joking. Do you know what will happen if I just let this slide? Toyama wrote articles because he needed to put food on the table. But he was also motivated by a strong sense of justice. Journalism and justice had to go hand in hand. Come on, Toyama, you're not just some upstart kid anymore. The man frowned like a disapproving schoolteacher. Toyama bristled. At least I'm not the one sacrificing the truth to protect the status quo. Look, if you want to make fun of me, go right ahead. I've got 2 kids and a loan on the house I just bought. Toyama practically lunged at the other fellow. Damn it, man. Have you no sense of pride? Whoa, hey, hold on. Let me finish. The man pulled free of Toyama's grasp. I came to find you because I have a scoop for 4-star general gossip. Huh? Toyama stared back at him in disbelief. I'm not allowed to write about this. But this business still has to go public, right? Wait, so you're. Yeah, I'm giving you the info I've got. He and Toyama shared a conspiratorial look.
They,
There's a warehouse down by the docks you might want to check out. Toyama lurked near one corner of the dockyard warehouse. A lukewarm breeze wafted against his cheek. How many minutes? No, how many hours had he been waiting? Had he gotten a bogus tip? He had half a mind to give up, but stubbornly he continued to wait. Finally, a black car approached. Toyama hurriedly slipped behind a shipping container and readied his camera. The vehicle parked near the water, the lights cut out, and the engine fell silent. The windows were tinted, concealing whoever was inside. A few minutes passed, and then Toyama heard the sound of a small pleasure yacht humming across the waves. Its lights grew closer and closer, making a beeline for the car's position. The craft drew up alongside the pier, and several thugs got out, scattering to secure the area. The car door opened, and someone stepped out. Toyama readied his camera again. Through the viewfinder, he spied the senior secretary of the Diet member he'd been investigating. If that guy was here for a meeting, there could be no doubt about who had sent him. Then someone appeared on the deck of the boat. His suit fluttered majestically in the salty sea breeze. Toyama recognized this man, too. It was the Yakuza boss's right-hand man, his chief negotiator. Toyama clicked the shutter wildly. He captured the entire scene as the secretary took on one of the thug's hands, boarded the craft, and then began talking to the Yakuza henchman, looking relaxed and familiar. This would be a political bombshell. The unveiling of such a major link between the government and the underworld would turn Japan on its head. Huh? One of the thugs picked up on the faint sound of the camera shutter. Oh no.
F.
He began striding in Toyama's direction. The two made eye contact through the viewfinder. Uh-oh. Not a good time to get discovered.
Nope.
Toyama scurried away, desperate to flee the scene. He spotted a truck parked a short way down the road. There was no time to look for something better. He clambered up and hid himself in the back of the truck. A moment later, the truck's engine started and the vehicle sped away. Toyama lay huddled on his side, his eyes scrunched tightly shut. Only occasionally did he risk a glimpse at the passing scenery. I like to point out, like father, like daughter, because during the hide and seek thing, remember Hana also got into the back of a truck that started racing away.
Mm-hmm.
The truck left the harbor and got onto the Shuto Expressway. Then it emerged onto the Tome Expressway. That meant it was going to keep heading west, probably for quite some distance. It was indeed a good long while before the truck finally stopped. Once he'd heard the driver get out and walk away, Toyama popped his head up and took a look around. His eyes alighted on a blue road sign nearby. Nagoya? Oh, this was bad. He needed to get back to Tokyo right away. Wearily, he dragged himself back to his feet. As he did, he sensed something behind him. Dad? Hana, is that you? Somehow, Toyama's daughter was in the bed of the truck there with him. I found Hana.
There she is.
Hana, what are you doing here?
Hide and seek.
I wanted to be the hide and seek champion. Hide and seek? So wait, you hid in the back of this truck and then... Hana gave a tiny nod. But what are you doing here, Dad? Right that. Daddy was chasing after a scoop. Uh-huh. Yeah. The two chuckled awkwardly. Well, first things first, Toyama said. We need to get home. They climbed out of the back of the truck and started walking. So, did you manage to become hide-and-seek champion? Definitely. The kid who's it still hasn't found me after all. What about you and your scoop, Dad? Oh, I was right on the mark. Sales for the next issue of 4-Star General Gossip are going to be through the roof. I guess that makes you a champion too, Dad. I guess you're right. And as dawn broke over the streets of Nagoya, father and daughter walked amiably along, hand in hand. Yay!
Yay!
And then they are going to continue to have a very rocky relationship until Hana becomes a famous songwriter.
Oh, hell yeah.
Alright, so...
You go write them hit songs, girl.
Exactly. I'm actually going to get this bad end while we're here, because I assume that we are going to get a bad end here. Okay, we're asking about Hitomi. Oh.
And then get punched. Yep.
Sucks to be you, my dude. Oh, oops.
Sadly, it always sucks to be him.
Yeah.
He never catches a break, like, ever.
I love Achi. Whoa, my bad, Gramps. You okay?
Clearly, he's not.
Yeah. Oh, come on, man. Sorry, Gigi.
Poor old man. He's going through it today.
Excuse me?
Oh,
Excuse me?
shit. The fuck? That's gonna hurt. Is he really gonna smash that fire extinguisher into our face?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, he is. Okay.
Oh my god, but I didn't call the fire department.
That's so bad. What the fuck?
Okay, that was bad. And number 36, I didn't call for the fire department. While chasing after Hitomi,
Yeah.
Achi had a run-in with the Yakuza and got beaten up, but actually the girl Achi was following wasn't Hitomi. In order for Achi to avoid this disastrous fate, that girl needs to run off in a different direction. So let's go ahead and change history again. Okay, Maria. Sorry, Achi. We just got you murdered by a fire extinguisher. This is Zero Escape all over again.
Yep.
I don't think you played that with us, did you?
I don't think I did.
It's a good
But
one.
I think that was way before I came in.
Yeah, because I think it was before we did Final Fantasy, I want to say. And I think you came on right after.
Yeah. I know I was watching you guys play Final Fantasy for sure.
Yeah, because we did Zero Escape before that.
Mm-hmm.
It's the escape room one. It's a very good series if anyone is interested. I just, unfortunately, was not doing the YouTube channel then, so I cannot even redirect you to videos.
It's okay, it'll live in your memory.
There we go. Alright, looks like we are back in business. Alright, 1500. Minorikawa.
Yeah, Nagashita's theme is titled Eggplant. Why?
Should I tell
my
them?
God.
Select B. Let's go to the theater.
Yeah,
Alright. Yeah, dry ice machine is broken. Yeah, but we need that dry ice machine.
to save the world.
Exactly. Alright, come on. Save for me. There we go. Alright, there's Achi. Oh, Achi. Yeah, we got this bad end. 1505. Oh. To the surveillance room. Okay, then rather than head directly for the surveillance building. Hello, Minorikawa. We talk to you when we die.
Isn't that ominous? Holy shit.
Yeah.
Seriously, I can't believe that he became plot relevant towards the very end too. I was convinced he wasn't gonna be plot relevant, and then he did that. I'm like, never mind. Never mind.
His entire plot line was just so that he could show up with the dry ice machine at the very end.
Mhm.
Alright, here we go. Who's next? Ryoko Kakinuma. Oh, this is the poor waitress.
Oh, this poor girl.
This poor lady. This was me again.
Yep. She was the best though. Like, she was a mood. She was the
Oh my
one
God.
person I really wanted Minorikawa to get punched by, but it didn't happen.
She
But somebody
deserved
else
it.
punched him, so that's good. Good.
Ryoko Kakinuma. Her name might not ring a bell, but you might recognize her as one of the waitresses who works at the Café L'Autre. She's currently enrolled in the law school at Midoriyama Academy. Sue his ass. Her hope for the future is, of
Mm.
course, to become a lawyer.
Oh,
Revisions to the bar exam have made that challenge a trifle easier, but it's still a tough obstacle to overcome. She practically studies in her sleep. Listening in on trials is one of Ryoko's hobbies. She takes the Tokyo Metro Hibaya line to Kasumigaseki Station and then heads to the nearby court building to observe whatever's going on there. Ryoko is especially fond of the district court, which handles the first hearing in local cases. Trials can be quite interesting. They're like little dramas about human emotions and desires. But recently, in the course of her courtroom visits, Ryoko found herself with a new reason to be present. She'd caught sight of a man in the courtroom who utterly intrigued her. She wanted to approach him, wanted to talk to him, but it was never going to happen. Now then, shall we begin? His low, honeyed voice made Ryoko's heart melt. Would the
same.
defendant please come forward? The man who had so fascinated her was the presiding judge. His eyes glimmered with cool intellect, while his wild shock of hair hinted at a rugged individualism.
Wow.
Ryoko couldn't help it. She wanted to be closer to this man. But the judge's bench was so very far removed from the visitors' gallery. What can I possibly do to get near him? Should I sully my hands with some crime? If I did, he'd have to look me in the eyes as he rendered judgment. The more absurd Ryoko's fantasies grew, the more the judge consumed her thoughts. Imagine, like we've been playing Phoenix Wright. Imagine that your client just commits a crime because she wants the
To talk
judge.
to you.
Yeah, she wants to talk to the judge.
Want senpai to notice her.
Mhm.
Wow. 10 out of 10.
Today, as she waited for a court session to begin, she could think of nothing else. Ryoko sat in the visitors' gallery, wearing a brightly patterned dress. Would he notice and find her change of style appealing? What if he thought it didn't suit her? She vacillated between getting worked up in a good way and in a bad way as she imagined him thinking one thing or the other. You're always in here, aren't you? Ryoko turned at the voice to see a group of middle-aged women gathered behind her. All of them had gaudily dyed hair and sported gold necklaces and rings. And who might you be? Ryoko asked with some trepidation. You made eye contact with him earlier, didn't you? Huh? Don't play dumb. We know the score. This wasn't making any sense. What are you talking about? The women's faces abruptly turned sour. You need permission from the boss first, one of them said. Otherwise, how could we possibly maintain order? Look, I really don't know what you're getting at here. Could you explain from the beginning? Ryoko asked. The women sighed in unison. That's a newbie for you, said one. Now, we were all like that at first, said another. Very well, I suppose. Allow me to explain. One of the women stepped in front of Ryoko. We're groupies of the judge who's about to show up. Ryoko's eyes went wide. She'd never imagined that a judge could even have groupies. But, the older woman continued, if we simply do as we please, we'll be a nuisance to the poor man, when of course what we want is to be supportive. The other women nodded in agreement. Yes, don't make the first move. Don't try to give him anything. Just look. But don't make too much eye contact. And no hogging him for yourself either. We share him with everybody.
Oh shit.
That's just the basics of groupieism. A normie like you coming along uninvited? Well, you'd best take care not to cause trouble. Groupieism? Normie? These were clearly jargon, but Ryoko had no idea what they might mean. Hey, are you even listening? One of the women asked. Yes, I am. Just sorry. I don't really understand the words you're using. Groupieism is the practice of helping your fellow groupies. Normies means regular old normal people. Oh, sure, I get it. Ryoko inclined her head. So, what did you want with me? If you're going to be making eyes at that man, you need to be a member. I what?
A member.
Ryoko might have indulged in some flights of fancy, but she was content simply to look. Being part of some group that came here to obsess over the judge sounded like a total nuisance.
Yeah, agreed, girl.
I'll pass, thank you. I'm fine just looking at the guy by myself. The older women fiercely narrowed their eyes. I heard that! You just referred to his honor as a guy! I do believe that's in violation of Article 2 of the agreement. The agreement has been violated! Punishment must be meted out!
What is happening?
Ryoko recoiled as the older woman flew into an uproar. Look, ladies, your weird pact has nothing to do with me. How dare you! As the women stood glaring at each other, court staff and officials began filing into the courtroom. The judge was among them. Rather than cease their bickering, however, both sides elected to escalate. Be quiet, the judge called angrily. I'll have you all thrown out. But none of the combatants could even hear him over the sound of their own voices. The groupies had launched into a rambling tirade about their way of life, the generation gap, their academic history, social standing, and stock indices. As a form of argument, it went far beyond unproductive. Ryoko had been pushed to her limits. How about we have him settle this matter for us? She shouted. The other women abruptly fell silent, taken aback. This is a courtroom. Let's ask the judge to decide who's in the right. Ryoko rushed to the front of the visitors' gallery and called out to the judge, These women are being weird, right? Could I please have an official verdict? The other women were quick to fire back. This young lady is at fault for not knowing her place. We've done nothing wrong.
Oh, wow.
The judge stared at them, his face suddenly a mask of stern deliberation. Ryoko and the others held their breaths. You're both in the wrong. The stern rebuke elicited peals of joy from Ryoko and the other women. More, say something else, please. Oh, please, deliberate some more. All of you, behave. The judge's tone was even harsher now. But Ryoko and the others only shrieked more gleefully. I said behave, the judge roared. He hurled the object he'd been carrying at the giddy group in the gallery. Bulky and heavy, it hurtled through the air. Ryoko and the others reached out their arms, each struggling to be the first to get their hands on it. Lunging forward at the last instant, Ryoko landed the catch. I'll be taking this, thanks. With a cry of triumph, she dashed out of the courtroom. As she exited the building, she could hear the older woman crying out in dismay behind her. She grinned gleefully, clutching her prize to her chest. It remains her proudest possession to this day, that judge's personal copy of the Compendium of Laws. Simps are scary, man.
Yeah, I'm scared of those girls. Like, that just reminds me of, like, every anime character who has a dedicated fan club to them inside of the anime, like Yuki Soma from Fruits Basket.
Yeah.
And then, like, every other girl who, like, or boys, there are some fanboys who simp over their Aniki.
Yeah. Alright, so back to fixing history.
The whole side story has failed the Bechdel test. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah. Alright. 15,
I'm
25.
sipping my tea real loud.
Kano. Alright, 15, 25. Kano, hit me. Kano could sense the truth of Stanley's words is what we're looking for. This is when we punch Stanley.
Good times.
Good times.
I never thought we would.
Look, and now he's our bestie.
Right, we're best bros.
Alright. We need truth of Stanley's words, which means Stanley has to talk again. Look at all the dead bodies. Sasayama, who didn't quite die. Alright, here we go. Alright, who we got now? Numi Kudo. Oh, this is Kano's girlfriend.
Oh my god! She's so good.
And I also played her.
Yep.
Alright.
Honestly, she could have her own spin-off and I'd be fine.
She could. I loved her. We got to talk to her like twice. Special episode. I'm not sure I get what you mean by special, but you're not sharing a bunch of half-truths about my daughter with anyone. Okay, we're not going from Rumi's point of view. The end.
The end.
Well.
Oh.
That's what I'd like to say, but you've worked too hard trying to find this thing, so it'd be rude to leave you with just that. My name is Shizuo Kudo. I also played
Holy
him.
shit.
Numi is my only daughter. Maybe it's
No.
presumptuous me to brag, but today, let me talk a little bit about her.
Oh, it's Daddy being very, very proud of his daughter time.
Exactly. I won't mince words. Numi is beautiful. After we walked around Shibuya together today, I feel that more strongly than ever. All the other women out on the street made my Numi look even more dazzling by comparison. That's how much her good looks stand out in a crowd. There's no end to the trouble that comes your way when you have a daughter that gorgeous. You never know where or when some low-life boyfriend might latch onto her. Still, using the techniques I fostered during my police days, keeping tabs on Numi's daily activities isn't too difficult. When she heads someplace even slightly dangerous, I make sure to tail her from a distance in order to keep a watchful eye on her. When work doesn't let me do that, I have one of my off-duty colleagues go in my stead. Let me tell you about what happened one summer several years ago. At the time, Numi was in high school and she told me she was going to a fireworks festival with her friends. There were going to be tens of thousands of people in the festival. Tailing her in a crowd that size would likely be impossible. And so I entered a bid to be the person in charge of security for the event. I drafted up a high-level security plan and got to head things up on site the day of. Thanks to that, the event went off without a hitch, and I was able to keep my Numi completely safe. I may have gone way over the security budget, but what else was I supposed to do when my daughter's safety was at stake? No doubt there are some people who think that I go too far in my actions, and to those people let me just make one thing abundantly clear, fuck off. I most certainly do not go too far. In fact, if you saw how lovely Numi is, you'd probably think I wasn't going far enough. And I'm not saying that with any parental bias or anything either. I'll have you know that Numi was chosen as Midoriyama's Academy's Miss Midoriyama too. And I didn't have any part in making that happen. I did consider orchestrating things ahead of time, but I didn't have any connections with the Ministry of Education, so that wasn't an option. My
Wow.
point is,
Okay, bitch.
I've put my strongest efforts into taking care of my daughter. I have loved her uncompromisingly. And yet, I need to accept that someday she'll leave the nest. The problem is the guy she fell for is a detective. That was my blind spot. I'd never considered that Numi might fall in love with a detective. Choosing a civil servant as a marriage prospect is all well and good. Still, if he's going to be a civil servant, he should be anything but a detective. Lately, though, my insistence on that point has been starting to waver. After the long years I spent working as a detective, I can tell what my girl is really thinking with every word, every little change in expression. Dumi's feelings for her boyfriend are the real deal. She loves him from the bottom of her heart, and he's very dear to her. Maybe she even loves him more than her own father. He's the man Numi chose. He's probably got his act together, too. Oh, man. Oh, man. No. The fact that he's a detective still bothers me, but I can't deny my daughter her happiness forever. When I think about how she feels, I wonder if I should let her marry him. But I'm a stubborn man. I've been opposed to their getting married this whole time. My body language clearly says it enough. No detectives. And if that alone is enough to make a guy back down, well, if that's the case, then good riddance. I can introduce Numi to a fine civil servant who isn't a detective instead. Maybe in about 10 years or so. And then we know he gave his blessing.
Mm-hmm.
And then we proceeded to save Shibuya.
Mm-hmm. It's sad though that we never got to see her face though. She's like the Miss Keen from Powerpuff Girls
I know.
this game. Which is so sad. That's so sad.
She deserved better. Okay.
She did.
1605. The Stumbling Man. And we're looking for if you're heading to that publishing office again. This is when we got beat to death 6 or 7 times. Which, let me just say, he needed to be hit. I don't know about murdered with a tiny piece of wood, but
Hmm. Oh yeah, her name was Cerebellum.
Yeah, there you go.
It's Bellum. Cerebellum like brain. Ah. Anyway, get it.
And we have our sexy taxi driver again. All right, who now? Chiaki! Okay, give me a second. I need more water.
You need aqua.
All right. Underneath the dazzling, brightly lit sign was a staircase leading to the basement level entrance. I stood at the top of the steps. Maybe I should have turned this one down. No, I couldn't think like that. There was no way I could turn this down. I'd been completely broke, with no other money and no other work in the office when
Mhm.
Mr. Mino gave me this chance. I'd been tasked with a page of the monthly four-star general gossip, and I wanted my work to live up to his expectations. I had to do it, but it all started several hours earlier. There's this new establishment that's popular with middle-aged and older folks, Mr. Mino said. I'd like you to go there and get an interview. I was a bit startled by the request. It's popular with old guys? Is this place something risque? The core demographic for the gossip was older men. This readership was often baited with lewd articles. But if the place in question was a porn shop or something similar, wouldn't it be better to send a man instead? No, Mr. Mina said. It's not what you're thinking. It's perfectly fine for women to go there. What sort of establishment is it then? Mr. Mina cleared his throat. From what I hear, they yell at you. Yell at you? Like you pay them to get mad at you on purpose? That's right. What for? That's what I'm sending you to go find out. I've made an appointment for you, so get going already. Mr. Mino's
That sounds
barking.
sus.
I know. Mr. Mino's barking kicked me into gear, and I found myself heading over to the place. With some trepidation, I made my way down the stairs. People got mad at me all the time when I was out on the job, so I couldn't understand why anyone would want to pay for the privilege of getting chewed out. I opened the door at the end of the hall, and my ears were immediately treated to the sound of women's voices snapping angrily. I told the young man working as the host that I was there for an interview, and he led me to a waiting room. There were female employees in there, glaring sharply at the waiting customers. Why are the people who work here so angry? I asked. Oh, that's a service we provide for free. The young host kept his voice low, but there was pride in his response. Every so often, one of the women would click her tongue in disapproval. Each time he heard it, the older man alongside her would sheepishly cast his eyes down. I hadn't the foggiest idea why he seemed so happy. I was scared. No, more like weirded out. If I could have, I would have turned right around and left. But I needed the money, and more importantly, I owed it to Mr. Mino to get the material he wanted. Chiaki, so we're ready for you now, said the host. This way, please. Yes, of course. Thank you so much. My voice broke as I gave my reply. Awkwardly, I shuffled out of the waiting room. A woman on a sofa glared at me, shaking her head and tisking 3 times. The private room was maybe 50 square feet, the floor covered with tatami mats. We do hope you enjoy yourself. Please wait here, kneeling in the seiza position. I did as I was told and got on my knees with my legs folded beneath my thighs. I worried that if I didn't, the host would be mad at me as well. As I waited nervously, I could hear voices coming from the room next door. An older man and a woman were speaking with animation. Oh, bless you! Are you really sorry, you miserable little ingrate? Bless you, bless you! What the heck were they going on about? How could something like that be fun?
It's not.
You sure seem to be enjoying yourself. I looked up to see a woman had come into the room while I was distracted. It's not every day a girl shows up here. Did I hear correctly? You're here for an interview. Yeah. And do you know just what it means to be scolded? She was older than me and had the bearing of a private secretary. Now she loomed above me with a condescending glare. All I could do was peer up back at her, down there on my knees. Who told you were allowed to look up? Sorry? I quickly broke off eye contact. Where are you looking? Look a person in the eye when you're talking to them. First it was don't look, then it was look. This was absurd. I just wanted to get this over with as quickly as possible. I'd lain in on myself, I focused on that hope. The woman let out a deep sigh of disapproval. Are you going to write an article about how you don't understand why people would go out of their way to be scolded? No, of course not. Don't you lie to me. She belted out the words furiously. Well, go on. Am I wrong? What are you going to do? Answer me.
Oh shit.
I couldn't take it anymore. I wanted to go home. Plus, my butt was getting all sweaty from sitting in Seiza. Look at how weak and subservient you are. You've lived your whole life just running away from your responsibilities. That's why you deserve a chewing out like this. I felt like she'd hit me in my very core. She'd zeroed in on all of the internal issues I'd been harboring. The fact was, she was right. I'd been a wishy-washy mess my entire life. Same girl. Mood. Back in elementary school, when my gym teacher told me he wasn't going to let me go home until I was able to do a pull-up, I just clung to the metal bar and stared blankly out at the sunset. When I was taking high school entrance exams, there was one time when my train was running late for the test for the school I most wanted to attend, and I just gave up and went home. I was the same now, too. When I was broke and hungry, instead of trying to get work, I just lie in bed and stare at the wall. I was hopeless. A hopeless excuse for a human being. No, that was going easy on myself. I was a no-good, worthless, hopeless excuse for a human being. Mood. Before I knew it, tears were streaming down my cheeks. What's all this? You think it's okay to cry? People like you are the reason men get all worked up about women using tears as a weapon. Apologize! Apologize on behalf of women everywhere, right now! I'm sorry! My voice was choked by tears and ragged with raw emotion. Say it louder, like you mean it! I'm sorry! And that's when I noticed. A group of people had gathered by the doorway. The host who'd shown me around, the women who worked there, and even some other customers were all watching. I looked up and they broke into applause. Huh? I blurted, bewildered. Amazing! You really know how to take a scolding. Huh? What? I had no idea what was going on. Everyone just kept clapping.
Wow.
Don't look away like that. No flattering yourself just because you're getting applause. Yes, ma'am. My audience let out a collective cry of awe at my mewling squeak, but the woman, seemingly unsatisfied, proceeded to scold me all the more harshly. In the end, I wound up getting chewed out for twice as long as would be usual. The club was kind enough to set that up for me. Really, though, all I wanted to do was get out of there and go home as soon as possible. Chiaki, you're late. What have you been doing? As I came stumbling out of the club, I nearly ran into Mr. Mino waiting for me by the entrance. Evidently, he'd come to get me when I didn't make it back by the appointed time. I apologized for not calling him and explained the situation. Thankfully, he believed me. So then, how did the interview go? It went great. I got a ton of applause. And so began another harsh chewing out as Mr. Mino demanded I explain just what the hell kind of interview I'd been doing.
It's a tsundere cafe.
Yeah. Oh. Alright. And final one is in Suzune's thing.
Oh, snap.
Alright. Okay, why can't I get to side stories?
It does feel dirty.
Yeah, I don't feel good about that one, not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Okay.
First we have that weird one with the zipper, and now we have a tsundere cafe.
Yeah, I don't like that. Okay.
Like, to be very honest, I never understood the appeal of tsunderes, if that makes any sense. Because, like, if somebody ever acted like that in real life, I'd probably just slap them.
Exactly. Okay.
I cannot stand tsunderes. Like, it has to be a really good character for me to actually like that kind of character.
Mm-hmm.
But even in, like, media, I've never gone for that one. Because I'm like, wow, you're just a bitch. You're mean.
Yeah.
Stop being mean to everyone. Like, why are you so mean? Like, who hurt you?
Yeah, like there's a couple of characters that it's like, okay, you know, like I can appreciate how it's done, but yeah. Okay.
Like,
Bonus.
if anyone treated me like that in real life, I would definitely hate their guns.
Exactly. No, we are never clicking on Kanan ever again.
No.
Alright, and we are looking for, do you mind if I ask you your name? So that's right at the beginning. Guess I gotta hit the right button if I want things to move on.
This was the saddest one, not gonna lie.
It was very sad.
Very sad one.
But hey, Suzune lived.
Yay! But he died.
He died, yeah.
Well, sad. He was younger too. Like, damn, that's even worse.
Mm-hmm.
Poor children. I mean, at least he used the last of his life to do some good, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He will live on in the world with Suzune. His crush. Cute, but also I'm sure she looked at him like a little brother.
I mean, she does say, even in it, that she thought that she felt for him like a brother. Blah, 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 blah.
I just got Your Lie in April vibes and I just... oh! Kind of just died a little bit.
I can see it.
Yo, it doesn't matter how many times I watch that anime, I legit bawl like a banshee.
It's one of the only anime that I do actually recommend to people.
It was just so well written. I should really read the manga. I never got to read the manga. The only manga I have been reading is Horimiya, which I do recommend because that shit's hilarious. Like, if y'all never seen or read Horimiya, like, do both because it's so good. I haven't had a rom-com hit me like that in ages. So, definitely, like, and Miyamoto, whew, your boy, he is a whole cake all to himself. Is a whole meal. I enjoy him very much. And Hody too, like, they complement each other. They're really like one of my favorite anime couples now.
Blah, 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 blah.
Look at them, they're so baby.
I know.
Honestly, good job to these actors. Y'all did great. Imagine them having like a reunion in Japan and being like, "Hey, homies," and then like go out together for ramen or something and be like, "You remember when we did this game?"
Yeah.
I wonder how old everyone is now. Like, damn.
I mean, this remaster didn't come out that many years ago, so it's only like 3 or 4 years.
Wait, chat says there was a reunion? There was? Oh my
That's
God.
Cute.
That's so nice. They better. Damn.
Oh shit, I forgot about Suzune's horse girl shit.
I hope my OTP was canon IRL, maybe. No. I mean, that kind of shifted. Like, it'd be kind of cute.
Alright, last one.
Oh, shit.
Alright. Unable to bear the sweltering heat, I stopped at a cafe on the outskirts of town for a little breather. It seems I've stuck my nose into something more dangerous than I'd thought. It's been a month since that incident that threw Shibuya into chaos. And even now, here in the Middle East, I've still got the scoops coming my way. I got wind of an incident aboard a long-distance railway a few years back. seems it involved an armed group that styles itself the Serpent. By looking into that, I might finally be able to learn the identity of a certain person of interest. The lead is a risky one, though. March into it too blithely, I might wind up getting killed. But what can I do? There are people back in Japan counting on me. The exclusive scoop I landed on that attempted bioterror attack caused 4-star General Gossip to sell like wildfire, and Heaven Publishing made a spectacular comeback. But even so, Mr. Toyama and Chiaki are still going to need my help. So what do I do? Do I play it safe and head back home? No. How could they depend on a man who turned tail and ran when the big scoop was right in front of him? And for my own part, my interest in getting to the bottom of this far surpasses my fear for my own safety. Guess I gotta take this as far as I can. Until I can find out who Alfred really is. What's the real person like underneath that veil of mystery? My story isn't over until I have what I need.
That's ominous.
I know. It's not letting me go on. Oh, there it goes.
Oh, it's taking a sweet time.
All right, so we got all of our side stories. I'm gonna try to initiate the. Oh shit. Gotta go back to title screen.
Oh, that's what it was hinting at. Okay, that's leading to Minorikawa and Maria being main characters in Kane and the anime. Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah, there was okay, yeah, my memory's coming back. It's been literally a hot minute since I watched Kanan, but yeah, I remember there was a reporter, and Maria, definitely I remember her. I forgot that his name was Minorikawa though. What?
Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Go back, go back, go back.
No!
No, sir.
Goodbye, sir.
Goodbye, sir. I forgot.
Goodbye.
You automatically defaulted that. Okay. 1735. Minorikawa, a common name.
So I do wonder, why did they go with Minorikawa and Maria? What, shouldn't it have been Minorikawa and Chiaki and Kaden? Because that's his assistant. Why would it be those? Like, that's a weird combination. To me. Or it could have been Osawa and Maria, because technically she went on that trip with her dad in this game. So what gives? Oh.
Yep, it's not going to trigger.
Chiaki doesn't want to die. True.
I mean, I don't want to die either. Chiaki's not the only one. All right. So, we have gone as far as we can. We cannot get the golden bookmark. So,
did our darndest.
We did our darndest. Someday, if someone requests it, maybe we'll go through and do all the bad endings. It'll take a bit. But you know what? If you guys just want to see people die in succession, who am I to stop you?
Right, just do it on Halloween or something.
Yeah, you know. Okay, so next stream is 10 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock Pacific on Thursday, because it's only Tuesday. We should be back on Phoenix Wright. Lemur's just not feeling well today. But on Sunday, we can finally announce what we're doing next. After I've been teasing it for ages now. So, if you ever wondered what my priority list is for, you know, how we pick what we're playing next, it's basically always first whatever Mana and Lemur want to do, if they have any requests. And then generally it'll either go to me or what the chat wants to do. In this one, Mana had requested that we do Danganronpa. So, we will... on Sunday, we will, or I guess Thursday if Lemur's still not feeling well, but she should be okay. On Sunday, we'll be starting Danganronpa, Trigger Happy
Trigger
Havoc.
Something like that. I just remember that one name.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well, like, I always remember the other ones because it's Super Danganronpa 2 and then Danganronpa V3. So, our 3 games. Anyways, so we will be starting that on Sunday. I'm still not entirely sure how we're going to work that, whether or not we're going to have the actual voices doing it, or whether I will be muting the voices and we can do it so that, you know, we actually talk during it. And, you know, because Mana can't hear the in-game dialogue.
I don't mind the voice actors doing it though.
Okay.
Like,
we can do that.
Yeah.
All right. So we will plan on that. I don't think I have any other announcements. Do you have anything before we sign off?
No, except I'm just having Kingdom Hearts. Anyway, but that's it. Yeah, coming to the Switch. Finally can play. Yay. That's it.
Exactly, and you can have it all in one place.
Right? I don't have to cry. Well, maybe I can cry a little bit. It's fine.
I will say, like, so I have 1.5, 2.5 remix, and it is a fantastic bundle. I don't know what they're selling it for on Switch yet.
Probably $1 million, but it's okay.
Like, I think if I remember correctly, when it came out on PlayStation, and that's just 1.5 and 2.5 together. It was like 40 is what I want to say. But I don't know what it's going to be on Switch because it's being packaged with Kingdom Hearts 3 as well. So, yeah. So
okay, what I always wondered about like 2.5. What's with the decimals?
Okay, like, so we have in the main series we have Kingdom Hearts 1, then we have Chain of Memories, and 358 over 2 days. Then you have Kingdom Hearts 2. You have Birth by Sleep, and what was the video for that one? Recoded. So 2 of those are movies. The other, they were originally games, and then when they did the anthologies of them, they made them into cutscene movies. Which honestly, it made Recoded a lot better, and which is a popular opinion, and I actually preferred watching it like that for 358 over 2, which is not a popular opinion, but sorry, I'm not a Roxas fan, guys. Anyway, so when they packaged them as anthologies, 1.5 was Kingdom Hearts, Chain of Memories, and 358 over 2 days, because it was the package between Kingdom Hearts 1 and Kingdom Hearts 2, so they called it 1.5. And then 2.5 ended up being 2, Birth by Sleep, which is technically a prequel, but, you know, and Recoded. And they already had the decimal system put in, so it was 2.5.
Okay.
If you try to figure out how they named any of these, it's a mess. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
So, yes, the Days manga is absolutely the best version of Days. I will not argue with that. I think it's fantastic. But, yeah. But, yeah, so the new bundle that is coming out, which is something like, it's not Intergrade, but it's like Inter something. They just announced the name of it. Has all of those Kingdom Hearts 3 and the Remind DLC. So, and then Memory of Melody is already out on Switch. So, you can get the entire Kingdom Hearts series on your Switch now.
And Dream, I don't know if I'm right, but Dream Drop Distance was just a rhythm game? Or...
So Dream Drop Distance was actually a full game. Melody of Memory is the rhythm game.
Oh.
I believe, I actually don't know, give me just a second, because I actually just sent it to someone, so,
Time to learn me some Kingdom Hearts history.
Okay, so the 3 games that you get bundled are 1.5, 2.5 Remix, which was one game, it's technically all 6 games. Dream Drop 2.8, which was an anthology that had Dream Drop Distance, 2.8, which was this like tiny game with Aqua, which was very cool. And what was the
Everyone's waifu.
and Union Cross. Which one of these days I need to figure out what was going on there. Yeah, 0.2. It literally is just the prequel that explains why Mickey is shirtless at the end of the first game.
What?
Like literally, if you'll understand when you play it, but it really is. It gave us two
how
things.
I feel about shirtless Mickey.
Like it, I will say that game literally gave us two things. It gave us that, and it gave me a chance to dress up my character, which I still think should have made it in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Okay.
So yeah.
I'm gonna have that weird ass mental image before I sleep. Thank you. I guess I'm not thankful though. Oh god.
Anyways, yeah, it.
Things on not to Google list that.
Like, let me just say, no one understood it, and I don't think anyone actually cared until they had that scene in 0.2. And then we all sat there and went, I just played like 3 hours for that.
Yikes. Oh no.
Anyways, yeah, so I personally very much recommend getting it. It's a lot of hours of play, but in my opinion, it's very worth it, so up to you. I've spent a lot of hours playing Kingdom Hearts, if it was not clear. Now, every time I get on stream, it doesn't look like it, because I always, like, don't play it before stream, because I sit there and go, you know what, I've played it before, like, it usually doesn't take me that long to remember, and then I get on stream and I'm trying to talk and do other things at once, and then I look like I have no idea what I'm doing, which is pretty normal for me on stream.
You're doing great, sweetie.
Well, thank you. Well, let me just say, like, there is no proof that I played BioShock on this channel, but Lemur was a goddamn saint watching me play it, because first-person shooters are not my forte. Like,
still best.
it was not pretty. Like, let me just say, BioShock's plot carried that game, not my gameplay.
There you go.
Anyways, let's sign off here. Good night, everyone. Wash your hands, wear a mask, get vaccinated if you can. We will be back on Thursday for Phoenix Wright, and Sunday for Danganronpa, so feel free to join us for either one of those. We're staying with Spike Chunsoft for these, and that makes me laugh. I don't know why, because 428 is also a Spike Chunsoft game. But we will see you guys in a couple days. Yep. Have a good night, all.
Bye.
Bye.